So nice to hear my name pronounced Moreno, not Marino.
On this episode of Cafecito, we are joined by legendary actress and Latina pioneer Rita Moreno in the theater district at Victor's Café. Now, as a young girl coming from Puerto Rico, can you talk a little bit about how you got into the arts? You were a dancer, right?
Well, I danced for Grandpa when I was a little girl, para abuelito. He'd turn on a record and he'd say, Rosita, you know, Rosy, dance for Grandpa. And so when I came to the States, I was already boogieing a lot. A friend of my mother's who was a Spanish dancer saw me bopping around the apartment. She said, you know, I think Rosita may have a future as a dancer. That's how it started.
And you traveled around the city, a lot of times by yourself.
In those days, you could do that. What was not good is that my mother, at 16, did two things that were just things I cannot figure out yet. She let me quit school. Now, you know, Latina family here, they kill you. You want to do what? And she let me go on the road doing nightclubs, and I was underage. But my mother, to be fair to her, she had no education. She was very young when she had me. She literally didn't know any better.
You just published your memoirs. You write about being a young Latina starlet. What was that like at that time?
It was really hard. It was demeaning because anything that had required dark skin and an accent was me.
Behold and believe what you see.
So I would play Egyptian girls, I would play Latinas, I would play Indian girls, and you know, I never knew what kind of accents these people would have, so I made up my own accent, and I called it the universal ethnic accent.
Lots of new housing with more space.
Lots of doors slamming in our face.
I'll get a terrace apartment.
Better get rid of your accent.
Life can be bright in America.
If you can fight in America.
Life is alright in America.
If you're all white in America.
Now, of course, the legendary role Anita in West Side Story. Can you talk about what drew you to that role and what that role really meant to your life and career?
It was one of the great musical roles in the history of theater, and I really wanted to play that.
He is one of them! No, Anita. Yes!
It's not like I had to delve deep and say, what's her motivation? I knew her motivation. I knew mine.
I can't believe it!
But then afterward, you know, you write about how it was tough to get a meaningful role. You were still kind of being pigeonholed. Why do you think that was? What was going on?
They didn't know what to do with me. You know, they only thought in this very narrow way. And they thought, well, she can only do these Latinas. But in those days, you never saw a doctor in a film or TV, or a lawyer or anything else played by a Latino actor, let alone a black actor. It was very hard for all of us. And it took me 7 years to go back into movies. And it was a film with Marlon Brando.
Speaking of Marlon Brando.
My nemesis.
You wrote about this fiery, intense relationship. Can you talk a little bit about this difficult time in your life?
We were together for a very long time. I fell madly in love with him, but the problem was that I was obsessed. He was obsessed with me as well. And there was one slight problem. He was unable to be faithful. We kept breaking up and I kept going back, and I felt diminished by him. And I finally couldn't take it anymore. I was so humiliated, and I thought my intention was to end that kind of pain and humiliation.
Be sure to look out for part 2 of our interview with Rita Moreno as she shares more about her turbulent relationship with Marlon Brando and the progress of Latinos in Hollywood.